As a YouTube creator who makes guide videos about traveling Korea, sometimes I get questions from people asking what it's like to travel here as a senior citizen. And with my parents in their 70s visiting here for 3 months, it's the perfect opportunity to sit down and talk to them about their experience here, with some tips for those in a similar situation, and also to talk about what they think about Korea after spending so much time here. So first, we'll start with you, Mom.
Okay.
Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Donna Holman. I'm Matt's mom, and we live in Victoria, BC.
And how old are you?
I'm 72.
Good. What about you, Dad?
I'm still a kid, 71, live in Victoria with your mom, and I'm your dad.
What did you know about Korea before you first got here?
Before we came to visit you the first time, we knew very, very little. And we've traveled quite a bit.
And that was 2014.
2014, that was.
11 years ago.
And I have to say at that time, you know, there were a lot of questions, but you were very sure that this decision was something you really wanted to do, so.
I knew very little, to be honest. I knew the big picture recent history of Korea in my lifetime. The war, I guess, the fact that the North and the South are still technically at war. They're a great friend of the United States, you know, in joint defense missions. I've known guys that have come and been stationed here in Korea. I was really excited to come, though. I had no idea what life would be like and what the people would be like, to be honest.
You arrive at Incheon Airport. It's your first time stepping into the country. What are your first impressions of Korea?
I was pure shock, to be honest. It was so modern and so bright, and the people were all, you used to call it the land of laughter, and that's exactly what it was. It was filled with laughter and really beautiful people. Those are my first impressions. I just fell in love with it right away.
I'd never been in an airport as big, as exciting looking, as clean, and as efficient as the Incheon airport. I was equally just totally taken aback by how everything appeared to work well, because we had to first take a bus from the airport to a smaller town, then take a taxi from that smaller town to a location, and then walk to our motel. And it was all after dark, and we were just, your mom, sister and I were doing it together, and we were all just so excited and not let down at all by anything we saw. Like all our interactions with the cab drivers, the bus driver, the other people on the bus, and the way that the hotels were nice and clean and very inexpensive and convenient to visit you as well.
I think a lot of people are maybe your age too. They look at Korea and they think of it like, oh, this looks like such a beautiful country, or they want to check it out. There are some things you have to learn before you kind of tackle it. I think you guys have had enough experience here too. You can give some like little things you've noticed, or maybe things that would help other people too. You've been staying in Busan for 2 months now, right? Can you explain what type of city Busan is for people that don't know?
It is just beautiful. Like, it sits on the ocean. It's just an alive city. Everything from the old architecture of temples, Buddhist temples that have been here since 600 AD, to the most modern architecture that I've ever seen. For the first time since we've been coming here, I've been noticing tourists that have found Korea and have found Busan. It's been really wonderful to see women even traveling alone again. It's the safety factor here. The food has just been great. The transportation is out of this world. Like, you can make your way around Busan and the countryside by buses and trains so easily. Mark and I have been on our own during this time, like yourself and Eugen have been with us and not been with us. It's just been so wonderful to be here.
I think you've mentioned several times that Busan might actually be better than staying in Seoul for people like you.
Like, both of them are just so great and out of this world. But I personally like Busan just because you're always close to a beach. You know, the city is sort of, if you will, it faces south towards the ocean, and runs east and west along a bunch of bays and points, and with a lot of islands not far away. Because of that, it's easy to orient yourself. In Seoul, I found quite often that we used the subway quite a bit, and you'd come up, and if you didn't see the sun, or you weren't told where north was, I couldn't get my orientation right, so I definitely became a victim of the phone. Whereas here in Busan, I quickly became comfortable knowing where I was, because it's a big city. I'm guessing it takes a couple hours to go from the eastern part to the western part on a very modern bus. It's as big as any city I've ever been in. It's hard to compare the size of Busan with Osaka or with Seoul. To me they all seem big. And Busan seems equally as big as the other two, but it seems to be more modern. Far more high-rises, far more architectural buildings. It's been nice to spend all of our time above ground, in the bus system. Our 5 previous times in Korea, we've relied a lot on the subways, which are phenomenal too, but you sort of miss the experience of knowing where you are by looking outside.
Let's say if you're fresh to Korea, you're in your 70s and you want to take the buses in Busan, what advice would you guys give to people that want to explore like you guys did?
I'd probably stay away from rush hours because it gets really quite busy. And we've tended to stay away from weekends when people are downtown, and we tend to do all of our, walking and hiking and things and shopping by foot or taxi. Taxis are really cheap here. If you're going, like some of the bus trips, they're right across Busan that we've been taking, and we try to time it so that we're home before that 3 o'clock time period, because standing in those crowded buses for our age it's quite hot and crowded. But other than that, they're a piece of cake, quite accessible and comfortable.
What about navigating? What apps would you use, or what do you recommend?
Well, I'd recommend listening to you because you helped us by downloading Naver Maps and showing us, how you initially start by going, to the destination, and then telling it whether you want to walk, whether you want to go by transport, public transport, or car. So you select that. It gives you an amazing number of choices, almost from early in the morning till after midnight. But the Naver Maps to me really, gave us the confidence, to start venturing out, making mistakes, and then recovering from those mistakes by getting off the bus and then sitting down at all the bus stops seem to have live interaction as well with when the next bus was coming, what its number was, and therefore you could determine from Naver Maps where it was headed. And we never ended up staying at any bus stop more than 10 minutes.
So it was really easy.
You guys aren't like super smartphone tech savvy, right? But you were able to at least navigate on the bus, so It's not too complicated, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
The number of the bus is just right on the side of the bus is huge, so it's easy, very easy to find.
What about when you arrive at your stop? In Busan, did they all have English announcements, or were you looking at your phone to make sure?
It has both Korean and English. And you tap your bus card both when you get on and when you get off. So that's one thing so just to make sure that you tap it when you go off. But you have to put money on your card from a convenience store. Just make sure that you have enough money on the card, because it kind of unnerves the driver a bit when you don't have money on the card.
And it's only refillable with cash too.
With cash.
Just as an extra note, for those wanting to take taxis instead of the bus, you can download the K-Ride app and just put in your starting point and destination to call the taxi, and it'll give you the estimated cost as well. Alright, are you guys ready? Let's do this. When my parents come to Korea, I always try to give them a good balance of the Korean countryside as well as the tourist places. So we were heading to the city of Mokpo, on Korea's southwest, which is a port city with a lot of character.
What did you notice about Korea's highway and tunnel infrastructure?
Second to none anywhere I've ever been. Like the quality of the roads everywhere, the repair, the state of repair, the signage, the control of the speed, you know, the making you alert, always aware of you could get a ticket around the next corner. For the amount of traffic that there is, I just never knew that there was a road system so well on planet Earth in 2025. It just makes me envious, you know, that you're able to access this. But the weather was good too. That helps. 2 months of constant sun doesn't hurt.
But even though the rules are the same, Korea is a faster society overall than what you guys are used to in Canada, right?
Totally.
So like, would you guys feel comfortable renting a car and driving around?
I personally wouldn't, because the road network is so large compared to what, you know, we come from a country in Canada where there's one highway east-west. Here, you know, there's 10 highways crossing the country, north to south, and 10 east to west. It's a very complicated maze. These are busy highways, and I don't think I'm ready to, you know, to safely get my family from point A to point B in, you know, an economical time.
There's a lot of buses and trains that go around the country anyways. And once you're in a city, if you're taking taxis within the city, if you don't want to walk, there's not that big of a difference in price between renting a car, paying the tolls and the gas, and taking the buses and taxis. So you don't really need to drive in Korea, right?
I think you'd miss a lot if you drove. We're talking highways with clover leaves and bridges that I've never seen before. Like, these bridges are unbelievable, and there's so many of them. For this small a country, it just blew my mind. Like, I'm serious, like you've just never seen, I've never seen this before. And the number of tunnels that you go through, like, it's quite mountainous. It's not like the Rocky Mountains, but it's very mountainous, and you just go through tunnel after tunnel after tunnel. Then you're faced with all these massive, like, not just a tiny bridge, like we're talking massive bridges. It's just unbelievable. Like, you take the bus, because then you're going over these bridges and you can see everything with your own eyes.
To take intercity buses, you can reserve on the KoBus website or app. And then for high-speed trains, you can reserve with the KoRail website or KoRail Talk app. And all of them are available in English and take international cards. We made it to the city of Mokpo and checked into our hotel, which is pretty solid for 45,000 won a night, and can be booked easily on Google Maps for travelers all around the country.
We arrived in the city of Mokpo. It's not a big tourist city or anything. Like, I remember when we arrived, you said, whoa, we're in Korea now, you know? How is it different than, like, let's say Seoul or Busan?
When you get to a town like Mokpo where there are no tourists, that's when you get the real feel for the true Korea. There's this harmony that happens. It's not like this polished look. It's like everybody just seems to be working at what they're doing. Trucks are coming in, people have their stores, there's things on the sidewalks. It's just this perfect harmony. And people are all working together, helping each other. That's one thing Koreans do. They're always there helping each other. They'll come up behind you. They don't interfere with you, but if you're struggling with something, they'll just kind of come up, help you, and then they just disappear. Like, they're just the sweetest people. And that's what I always notice when things are in harmony, when they're working together. And I guess that's what I notice most about Mokpo.
Every country there's almost like a barrier of how easy it is to interact with the people, just based on what they're used to in their day-to-day lives and stuff like that. And I've heard people say that Koreans have a very low barrier and they're very approachable. You don't feel like you're stepping on anyone's toes when you're, like, saying hi to people here, or if you need help or anything.
Yeah.
People are pretty, like, in general, pretty willing to go out of their way a little bit to help out, right?
Yeah. They'll embrace you in the sweetest way. Like, when you're sitting on the bus looking out the window, and there's an elderly lady looking up at you, she'll make like a little heart and send it to you. It's just like right out of the blue, like she could be 89 years old and she'll do that to you. Like it's just the cutest thing. Yeah. So Mokpo was like that just a natural Korean city, which really touched me when I participated in it.
So we went to a chicken restaurant, right? There is a very specific diet that the Korean people are used to. Let's say you've had a lot of Korean food and you're looking for something that's more familiar. How hard do you think Korea would be in general to find food that's comfortable?
A lot of the Korean restaurants they specialize in one dish. So for instance, it could be pork soup, it could be barbecue chicken, or it could be chicken legs. Not all three of the things I mentioned, but just one of them. And so sometimes it might pay to use your phone and study where they have what you want. My guess is they do. There'll be a couple options, and we were never disappointed in all the meals that we've had, and we've eaten out an average of twice a day since we got here. None of it's been returned, none of it tasted bad. We haven't been sick. If anything, though, we've eaten too much. That's the problem. We should have only gone out once a day.
The hardest thing would be for vegetarians or people with a specific diet, like people looking for halal food or something. They can find it in the countryside here and there, but it would be harder for them to find something that they're looking for, for sure.
I just want to mention too to the viewers just to download the Papago app. The restaurants are getting really good at using that, and you can just speak right into it and just say, what's the best dish here that isn't too spicy, and just show them, and they'll pick something for you. And usually it's the best thing ever.
If you're in Seoul or Busan, you can probably speak English at a lot of places, like in the tourist areas for sure. If you're not in Seoul or Busan, you might find people that speak English. They do exist here and there. And if they don't, then like sometimes you can use like English words. You might not be able to speak at this speed. So it's good to know that for people that are worried.
One short little story is Mark and I were way out on a bus, and we needed lunch, and we went into a restaurant, did not have a clue what we were doing, and there was no English anywhere. And we were fumbling along with trying to figure out what we were doing, and the woman that was in the restaurant actually ordered for us. We didn't even know she was ordering for us, and all of a sudden all this food came for us, and we just graciously accepted that, and the meal just went. We enjoyed it, and we paid for it, and we were very thankful. So if that ever happens to you, just be thankful and carry on with your day, because they're just doing it basically out of kindness and just show your gratitude, and that's how it's done. It was quite cute how it happened.
There's a lot of like similar looking apartment buildings all over Korea, right? They don't focus on making every building looking super unique, but they focus maybe on building more efficient or building faster to get more people in homes. What do you think about Korean construction in buildings? Because it's different from Canada for sure, right?
I'm really impressed. The initial feeling or sensation you get is that, oh jeepers, these are just a bunch of boxes here. I wonder why they are the way they are, because the landscape is amazing. The country doesn't look much different than BC from where I am, and so why do they have all these similar type buildings? And after we've been staying here 2 months, it's just amazing. First of all, to watch how fast they go up. Second of all, to see the material that's in them. It's almost all things that are fireproof, like cement, steel. All the wiring and all the plumbing is done as the building goes up, so that when the roof actually goes on, you're almost ready to finish. Whereas in North America, when a building like that gets its roof on it, that's when the hard part starts, is trying to organize the trades and get that stuff done. I think that they're probably 3 to 4 times as fast and efficient at building, and eventually it's the person buying it that can afford it. In our experience back home, nobody can afford it. The entry-level apartment is so expensive, and I think part of it is just the construction costs.
For people that are curious, this place is built in 2017, I think. This is a big unit for Korea, and this is about 190,000 Canadian, probably 145,000 American or something. You have a problem with your hip, and when we were walking around in Mokpo or anywhere, you have to keep sitting down, right? Mm-hmm. So like, there might be other people with, they might be worried about walking around and finding places to sit and stuff like that. Have you had problems finding places, or?
No, if anything, the country has an amazing number of seats or, low pieces of concrete that you can sit on. And for me, I need one about every 500 meters so that there's no pain. And I've been able to go wherever I want here, and there's enough places to sit down that, I can deal with my mobility issues.
I've gotten a comment like this before. They asked, like, I'm worried about maybe twisting my ankle somewhere and I won't have any help, or I'll be stuck somewhere. And I think just to add to this, it's good for people to know, you're never in the middle of nowhere in Korea, really. Unless you're on like the islands that are the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But if you're coming here, you're probably not going to go to those your first time at least. So no matter where you are in this country, it's good for people to know that even on the trails, every like pillar has a number on it. You can phone 119, which is emergency services. Mm-hmm. And if you've done it before where you just say like, can I talk to somebody in English? Mm-hmm. And they'll hook you up with an operator that speaks English. Even if you're on a hike or something, there will be a little number for you to tell the ambulance or whatever exactly where your position is. You're always a pretty short pickup away, so it's safe for people to explore, even in the nature, the wilderness here. Yeah. We were on our way the next morning to the Sinan Islands, which there's 1,004 islands on the southwest of Korea. We stopped at a place called the Cheonsa Daegyo, which is the 1004 or Angel Bridge. What did you guys think when you saw that?
I was blown away by that bridge. I can't even put it into words because it really has the appropriate name. You feel like you've died and gone to heaven because it is just spectacular. It's like right out of nowhere. This bridge is the biggest bridge I've ever seen, and it's going to these little islands. Like I said, I'm just speechless. It's the most beautiful bridge I've ever seen.
I'm surprised that there wasn't a million people at one end or the other to justify it, because for a bridge to access those islands, it's an amazing investment. But it was an amazing experience, to see it and to get to drive it.
After the bridge, we kind of drove into the countryside towns. And what did you notice when we were driving, and what did you see?
In my own life, I prefer countrysides and things quieter anyways. I prefer the peacefulness of the countryside, and it's kind of my little place in the world, and I enjoy watching people in little villages doing their farming or traveling or walking. In North America, we've kind of forgotten how to live peacefully, how to live quietly, how to live gently. Places in Korea, they're still doing that. Grow your own food, be nice to each other, be gentle with each other. And that's what I found on that drive. That's what I noticed.
We were going to a place called the Purple Island, and what is that?
The people of this island, they got together and they decided that they wanted to bring more people to that area. So they all decided to grow these beautiful little purple flowers and paint their roofs purple and have these beautiful walkways that you could walk right around the lake. Quite a distance actually that we walked, And a lot of people have associated this Purple Island with BTS, which is a K-pop group, which I happen to really like. Their lyrics have always been motivational. They've been kind. They've been positive for young people. I love Korea that it's non-drug, and I just pray and pray and pray that they can keep it that way. And so BTS to me has been just a beautiful role model, and they're coming back together now after being in the army, and I'm so excited for all of the people that enjoy them. And I guess for all the people that enjoy them, you kind of always wondered if they went to that Purple Island, because you kind of hope that they did. So you don't know for sure, but there's a lot of I Purple Yous everywhere, so.
And maybe they did.
You never know. I hope so.
We finished our time walking around Popusum, and it was time to show my parents a new area that comes to life at nighttime, called Yeosu, about a third of the way to the east across Korea's south coast. We checked into a beautiful hotel with an incredibly friendly owner that helped us out after our own mistake.
Accidentally booked the wrong date on Yanoja, the Korean hotel website. If we were to cancel today, it would have charged us 70% of the room fee. But the guy downstairs, he offered to phone them for us and cancel it so there's no charge. And then he gave us these rooms for today, and he even offered us a discount on these rooms, right? Yeah, I couldn't take the discount after he helped us. That's way too much. So.
Yeah, nice guy.
Very nice.
So that's really great.
And we were walking around at nighttime when we first got there, right? What were your first impressions of like the night plaza and all that kind of stuff?
With all the different lights, the different colors, absolutely magic. And then when we saw the riverboat come in, or it was a night cruise, once again, unique and as nice a harbor as I've seen anywhere.
You're always talking about safety, right? I took you guys there at nighttime intentionally because I wanted you to see what it's like there. What did you feel?
I felt completely safe there, and I don't feel safe at night normally. It totally felt 100% fine. Walking around, there was people just enjoying themselves, there's little children, there's people eating out. It was a fantasy. It was wonderful, just a wonderful feeling.
I don't think I realized how safe Korea would be until I got here, and I was walking around at probably like 11 at night, just saw like kids playing badminton outside in dark alleys by themselves, and I was like, I have never seen this before. Parents are just okay with their kids outside by themselves in a dark alleyway. Do you guys think like the average traveler can travel here and they can feel comfortable?
Yeah, I think you still have to be smart. You have to use your peripheral vision, you have to use your intuition. But I really think that it's a lot safer here than anywhere else that you may travel. Plus, heaven help you if you do something, because there's cameras everywhere. So you wouldn't stand a chance if you did do something wrong.
The next day, we went and we explored the Yeosu Expo Center for the 2012 Expo. Have you seen something like that before? Or?
It's amazing that it happened in 2012. So that's 13 years ago, and it looked like brand new. Everything was stainless steel, I think, all the buildings. There was a conference going on with fishermen, I guess, and motors and boats, and I'm guessing over 5,000 participants. And it was so spacious, so well thought out, and all in all, just an amazing facility. Is the community ever lucky to have it?
When we were driving out of Yeosu, you saw a ton of industry, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Never, like never. The biggest refinery, the biggest coal yard, the biggest LNG port. To have all that stuff together in one harbor, you can see why it must be one of the biggest harbors in the world and busiest. Probably a lot of people are happy that it's there and not in their backyard. You know, speaking about other Koreans, because you don't notice that massive industry, you know, in Busan or in Seoul, for instance, and yet you can believe it that natural gas and oil and coal are being delivered, to where the population centers are.
It was time to head to our last destination of our trip, this time about 2/3 of the way east to Busan, in a city called Tongyeong, a city of just over 100,000 people on the south coast. And with Korea's rapid development and modernization everywhere, I wanted to give my parents a look at something a little more traditional and a bit rougher too.
What did you feel when you saw Tongyeong the first time?
It's a pretty exciting place, actually, because of the fishing culture, fishing boats everywhere, and we went up to see a shrine. I've really been taken by all the number of temples and shrines in Korea, and honoring Admiral
Yi Sun-sin.
You have to really get a feel for this admiral. He really demonstrates the drive and the will for the Korean people to survive everything that they've been through. He is so prized by the Korean people. There's monuments of him everywhere, including downtown Seoul, in parks. There's the famous turtle ship that he designed. That it's really worth studying his courage and his design of this ship. But this shrine was up this windy road in this secret little place just for him. And it's just priceless how you go up into these tiny little areas. There's no graffiti, there's no damage, there's nothing broken. It's just adorable how these places just are left alone, where people can come and just show their respects, and I was really moved by that. Then we came down, and when the Japanese took over Korea, they built a tunnel that went under the bay, so we traveled through this tunnel to the other side, and that was pretty cool, that you could be walking along and then travel underneath this waterway by tunnel and come up the other side.
Yeah, it's almost 100 years old now. Yeah, there is a dark history with it as well, because it was built when Korea was colonized by Japan, right?
Yeah.
That's a part of its history, and it's kind of cool to see Korea educate people about the history, but also create environments for people to enjoy it at the same time. What about the seniors you saw in the water?
Oh my goodness, they are so strong. They were up to their calves in mud and digging away for clams and all kinds of things in the mud and water, and they'd probably been there all day in the hot sun. I bet you they're out there every day just working together, getting all these shellfish. It's pretty inspiring. Makes you realize that the sore foot that you have is really nothing. When you see them out there working in the mud and crud and hot sun.
Some of my most treasured moments are from the seniors. They really have a lot of love to give, which is pretty amazing considering the lives that a lot of them grew up. Most of them weren't even able to eat rice every day. There was a big rice drought, so it was called the period of barley hardship or something in English.
Yeah.
The porikoge, or barley hardship, occurred mainly after the Korean War in the 1950s to the early 1970s, when winter rice harvest would run out by early spring, and the barley that could be planted in the winter wasn't ready to be harvested yet, creating a gap in harvest that led to a lot of food shortages and suffering, which Korea managed to overcome in the 70s with the Saemaul Undong, or New Town Movement, which is a movement to industrialize the rural infrastructure and encourage community-based development and less reliance on the government.
They've fought and battled through so much to get this country where it is today.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be very thankful and just acknowledge that they're there, and if you walk by them, they're always so friendly. Just saying hello or just giving them a smile, I think goes a long way. So if anyone comes to Korea, something that I would recommend at least.
If you go up to them and you smile, and they'll smile back and actually give you love. Mm-hmm. They'll reach out toward you and take your hand. They're that loving, and you can tell they've been through a lot. They're very sweet people.
Would you recommend Korea to other seniors that are maybe they've watched K-dramas or something and they're interested in coming here?
I would. Yeah, I would. We've been fortunate enough to have Hyu and Eugene to help us out. You know, I'd probably learn a little bit of Korean, but to be honest, there's a lot more English now on the signage, on the buses. That Papago app is, so it's getting easier and easier to not have any Korean. And so that's a big jump from the first time we came here. Yeah, I would recommend it. But I would recommend not just being a tourist. Really get into the culture. Like, get to know the people. Like, don't expect every day to be like another sight or sound that brings you excitement. Sit on the beach or sit on a bench and just notice things, or, you know, enjoy the people. Because Korea's got a lot of gems that aren't going to jump out at you right away. Just kind of let yourself be a little freer and be open and gentle with people. And it's amazing how they'll reciprocate that same kindness to you.
It would be number one on my list, believe it or not. You know, looking at where you could go in the world today and taking into account how far your dollar goes, the broad range of opportunities that are here. Every city that we've seen has got a cable car going through it. We've never been on one, and yet that gives you another opportunity to see things, you know, to take pictures or videos if that's what you're into. Like, they're all aware that people like to go high and look down, so there's these towers in Seoul. In Busan, we've been to the Busan Tower. We've been to the one in Yeosu as well, and there's just so many things that are accessible here at very low prices. And if you go during the week, you know, and you avoid the rush hour, you know, you'll be able to access these services without spending a fortune. And every place that we've seen, you can spend $700 a night if you want in a hotel, but we haven't had to. We've only stayed in places anywhere from $30 to say $110 a night.
The maximum was 75?
We've been comfortable everywhere we've stayed. You know, for what our budget is, I can't think of a better place. You can almost get anything you want to eat, drink, any first aid stuff. There's pharmacies. It's just such an easy place to come to.
What makes Korea special to you?
Having found again what we may have lost or we are losing in parts of our communities that I see withering away back home. I guess when you get to be in your 70s, it's things that we've seen a lot of change in our life, and it's not that it's anyone's fault or it's, you know, it's just life, right? The things that I notice in Korea are some of the things that used to be in our life. There's still that innocence in adults. There's still that innocence in the way that people connect with each other. It's a sincerity, it's a purity, it's a trust. They all seem to be able to move and understand each other, even though they may not know each other. So they're connecting in a way that there's this bubble of security that I can feel whenever I'm with them. I guess I kind of miss that. Because I can feel it here, it gives me a lot of hope that we can continue this in our own cultures, in our own lives, that we can nurture this back. We may not have a homogeneous society at home, but it's something we shouldn't give up on. You know, we should be able to continue this type of genuineness, this type of respect for each other. And it doesn't have to be anything that's taught. It's something that just comes from a natural way of being, something from the heart that we can give to each other so that we begin to rebuild that way of trusting each other again, where we don't have to talk so much. We can connect again at a way that there's that sincerity in humankind again, and we can stop challenging each other with ideas and just walk down the middle and just be at peace again. That's what Korea has reminded me of. We're all so similar at a certain level. We all want the same thing. I think we intellectualize way too much. We don't have to divide with ideas. We need to come together and help each other and trust each other again and be good to each other and just be like those seniors in the mud. Just work hard and find joy in little things and treasure our children and treasure our elderly and just enjoy nature.